I get a tweet from Paris, Kentucky. And the tweet reads as follows. I see all of you stopped talking about Colorado. Just another flavor of the month member dismissed. What planet is this tweet from? So to set the stage, I'm here on Earth minding my own business. And then somewhere, someone sends me a tweet that says, well, I guess you forgot about Colorado. Since when? February? Have I missed games? What's happened? No one's forgotten about Colorado. Also, since you mentioned it, I do have a little news to break to you. It's written on the bottom of the screen for those watching. Colorado has sold out their spring game. And I do mean sold out. They're making people pay for this thing for the first time ever. It's going to be nationally televised April 22nd. And so I had producer Jesse do what he thought he'd never have to do today. I walked in and I said, Jesse, how are you doing? How was your weekend? Go research some Colorado spring game attendance figures for me. And so he drug his knuckles right back to his office and did just that. And he came back and said, I got a stat, possibly a padlock stat. If we've ever had a padlock stat in spring, here it is. So Colorado has sold this game out. They expect 45,000 in attendance at the spring game or April 22nd. Here's the padlock stat. Paper pop for this one. Colorado expects to surpass the aggregate total of their last 9 spring games combined with this year's spring game. And that was free. You figure if you open the door to a stadium and it's a random Wednesday, you figure you get 1,000 people in there out of curiosity. They put 2 tickets to the spring game on people's doorsteps and they woke up in the morning and there was 4 there. It was impossible. You couldn't drag people kicking and screaming to the Colorado spring game or Colorado football games for that matter. And now all of a sudden they're sold out. Why is that? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Deion Sanders has a little bit to do with that. 2022, last year, in other words, was the 15th time in 17 years that Colorado had a losing record. And last year, they left no doubt. They were 1-11. And so I think a lot of people are focused on how many games Deion Sanders is going to win in year 1. And I said the other day, I guess I should have clarified, but I said the other day, he's already winning. And then, of course, people shot back at me, oh, really? What are you counting? Scrimmages? What are you counting? This and that? Yeah. I think spring games count in the records. So for the serious people in the room, what I'm talking about is this right here. The University of Georgia is a machine right now. Kirby Smart doesn't have to sell his program to anyone. He has to recruit. But when he recruits, they're largely selecting. He doesn't have to sell the benefits of playing football for the University of Georgia, obviously, anymore. Deion Sanders cannot use the Georgia model. The Alabama model, the Ohio State model, the Clemson model is no good in Boulder, Colorado. They've got to quite literally invent Colorado football. Josh, Colorado football always existed. Which Colorado football? Not the one you want. He's got to invent Colorado football for an entire generation of people who weren't even close to being born the last time they were majorly relevant on the national scene. And to do that, you got to brand, you got to promote, and you got to get eyeballs on Colorado football. And you don't do it by following convention. You don't do it by taking the playbook of people who are already there because they're acting in a way different than you have to act. So Deion Sanders, just by the nature of who he is, gets some attention. But then, by landing that top-ranked portal class, you prove, well, we've gotten more people's attention, and it gets fans' attention, that players' attention has been gotten, and then you have things like this. I can't even begin to explain to you. We get research on this all the time about how much me mentioning a team on air is worth to them in terms of marketing. Not to brag, but it has value. You want to know what has infinitely more value is getting a network to nationally televise your spring game and selling it out a couple of weeks in advance to where everyone, me included, talks about it. What I'm doing right now is worth money to Colorado and us because all of a sudden Colorado matters nationally. It's very much a mutually beneficial relationship, Deion and we, all of a sudden. But I'm going to prepare you for something. It's not prediction season, and even when it is prediction season, I probably won't spend a lot of time predicting a record for Colorado. But I told you, just as sure as the sun will rise in the morning, a few weeks ago, I told you what was coming. As soon as the upset started happening in March Madness, I told you the conversation was going to shift to what? That was proof that the playoffs should be expanded in college football. Big hiccup there. So, unfortunately, I was right. And I'm going to be right again with what I'm about to say. Prepare now, because the most nauseating conversation in the 2023 college football season will be the I told you so crowd. Every time Colorado loses a game, they won't wait until December. Every time they lose a game, a team that was 1-11 last year and just put together an entirely new roster. Everybody out there in the hate Deion crowd, bash Deion crowd will tell you they told you so anytime that team loses. That team could play at Oregon, be a 3-touchdown dog, lose by 6, and that crowd's going to say, told you Deion to be a failure. Now, these people are largely losers, or at least have a loser's mentality. These are the people, though, who will look you square in your eye. If formerly 1-11 Colorado goes 4-8 this year, they will tell you that's proof that man's a failure. They will tell you, I told you wouldn't make a bowl game. So it's so intellectually bankrupt. You set a borderline unattainable line in the sand, and then the line in the sand is not achieved, but several noteworthy things are, and then casuals amongst you just yell, they told you so anyway. That's going to happen this year. The only question is, which side of that are you on? That's all that you have to figure out, because it's going to happen this year. It's going to be gross. It's going to be nauseating, but it's going to happen.